In this video, I'm going to show you how to replace your hub on your Toyota Camry. It's located behind your front wheel. Remove the hubcaps. You're going to stick a pry bar of some sort in there, and you're just going to go around and prop it off. Using a 21mm socket, we're going to remove our lug nuts. Remove your wheel. Using a 17mm socket, we're going to take out this bolt and the one up here. We're going to remove the brake. Make sure you have a hand on your caliper before removing the top bolt. Make sure you have some sort of a hanger or a bungee cord to hold up your caliper when you take it off the rotor. Hang your caliper up and don't kink your brake hose. Remove your rotor. Using some wire cutters, we're going to remove our cotter pin or our tie rod, and we're going to disconnect our tie rod. Once you bend it back, you're going to grab it. And just pull it out. You can also cut it off if it doesn't want to come out. Sometimes they get stuck. Now we're going to take off this nut with an 18mm socket. Now you're going to give it a whack right here. Release your tie rod from the knuckle and get it out of the way. Just set it aside. Using a 10mm socket, I'm going to remove this bolt for our sensor. Once you remove that, you're going to take it off the knuckle. It's just a clip that you push off out of the holes in the strut, and then you can set this aside. I'm going to hang mine up with my brakes over here. Next, we're going to take our axle nut off. To do that, I'm going to unpeen the nut using a punch and a hammer. You just want to take that away from the axle. Using a 30mm socket with a 12 point, we're going to take off this axle nut. Now we're going to make sure our axle's free, which it is. If it isn't, you can hit it with a rubber mallet of some sort or a dead blow hammer and free it up. At this point, you've got to make a decision whether you're going to do your ball joint, remove it from the knuckle while it's in the vehicle, or if you want to do it outside the vehicle in a vise. If you don't have a vise, you're going to have to do it in the vehicle. I have a vise, so I'm going to do it this way. I'm going to remove these nuts and this bolt, and I'm going to take the whole thing, the whole ball joint assembly out with the knuckle, and then I'll separate this ball joint in the vise. Using a 17mm socket, we're going to remove these nuts. And now I'm going to remove this bolt. And as you can see, the ball joint assembly is ready to come out as soon as I take out my bolts up top where the strut is. Using a 22mm socket, we're going to take off the nut, the lower nut on this bolt. I use my wrench, 22mm as well, to hold that still. Now we're going to take out the top one. We're going to keep a hand on our knuckle. I'm just going to tap my bolt out. Just be mindful not to drop your knuckle. I'm going to use my socket on the other side with my gun. Just get it out the rest of the way. I'm holding my knuckle so it doesn't fall. And once that's out, we should be able to remove the knuckle with ball joint all in one swoop. Again, make sure your axle's free. Make sure your axle doesn't come with it. So our axle is kind of got like a rust spot inside, and it's not letting us just take this right off like I should be able to. So we're going to bungee it up, and we're going to use a punch to get it past that rust, and we're going to hammer it out and get it past that. Get it past that piece of rust or whatever's stopping it. That's if you even have this issue. If you don't worry about this. Your knuckle should just come out. So I'm going to take my bungee off. And now I should just be able to pick this up and remove it. Once you get your axle out most of the way, you're going to want to take some tension off this ball joint area and lower control arm to get the axle out the rest of the way. You want to jack it up slightly and then tip down your knuckle. To get it out, to get the axle out. We have a pretty rusty vehicle, so hopefully yours is just not going to be like this. Okay. Once you get that axle out, there's a little hole in the control arm that you're going to stick a pry bar in. And you're going to push down and remove the knuckle. Once you remove your axle, you're going to want to just bungee this up and make sure it doesn't come out of the transmission. I'm using a bungee cord. You can use whatever you want. You can even just put a block here if you want. You're going to keep your jack there, which is what I'm going to do actually. It's a little easier. You're going to want to take this ring off first. So let's do that with a pry bar. You're going to just get underneath it. And you're just going to peel it off the knuckle. In order to get the bearing and hub separated, you need to set it up in a press of some sort. We have ours already set up. Yours could be a different setup. Do your best. You're going to press out the middle first to remove the hub from the knuckle. So we're going to push the center out. There we go. Now we could take our hub out. So now I'm going to press my knuckle onto my hub. I'm going to support that center part of the bearing. Just make sure you have something on the inside of the bearing, the inner ring. And that's all the way down. Now we can release it. Looks good. Now to put your ABS ring on, if you have ABS, ours does, it has a hole. If it doesn't have ABS, it won't have a hole. Line it up with the hole in the knuckle. Hold it still and just tap it in all the way around. Now we're going to put our knuckle in. I'm going to leave my wood there for now. And I'm going to line everything up. Line up my axle. Get my wood out of there. All right, so now you're just going to start lining things up. Turn this over this way. You're going to pry down on that control arm. And line up your ball joint bracket with the control arm. So you're going to wiggle it in. It should slide in. I did put some silicone paste. You can use grease, whatever you got, for the axle. It helps ease installation. If your bracket's not going into the control arm, use a pry bar and just push it in like that. Make sure your axle's in all the way. We're going to remove our jack now that we have our knuckle in place, and I have a punch holding it up. And at this point, I'm going to put a pry bar between this ball joint and its bracket and the control arm. And what you're going to do is just push down so that you can reach your bolt through. So push down so it meets the control arm, and then you're going to get this started. You're also going to get your nut studded there. And you can release. Now that you have these three started, we're going to snug them up and torque them to 55 foot-pounds. Put our lower bolt in first. The nut goes towards the rear. And just get your nut started. Don't worry about tightening it yet. Now we're going to get our top bolt in. Push in on the top. Make sure your caliper is out of the way. Push the bolt through and start your nut. Now we're going to snug up our bolts for our strut. We're going to torque these to 155 foot-pounds. Do the same on the top. Let's put our ABS sensor wire in place. It slides in here, and these two holes are where the plastic clip goes. Make sure that there's no debris on your sensor before installing. Just wipe it off. There's a little magnet here, so you're going to insert it in the hole, line up where the bolt goes, and get your bolt started. Our backing plate is intact, so I'm going to need an extension. Wrist tight is good. Now we're going to put our tie rod on. To do that, you're going to lift up your tie rod, turn your knuckle, and line up the knuckle with the tie rod the way it was when you took it apart. Get your nut started. I'm going to snug this up and torque it to 36 foot-pounds. We're going to torque this to 36 foot-pounds. We're going to check to make sure our hole is lined up for the cotter pin with the castle nut. If it isn't, you're going to turn it tighter until it does. Do not loosen it. A tiny bit more. That looks good. And now we're going to put a cotter pin in. Push it through. You want the long side facing the floor. You're going to separate it out. Push it up. And then this one you can either cut off or go around the nut. I'm going to put a little anti-seize on this hub. Before I put my rotor on. Let's put our rotor on. I'm going to go ahead and put a lug nut on to hold that rotor in place. And now we're going to put our caliper on. Slide it over the rotor. Now you can line up a bolt. I'm going to do my top one. Once you get one started, get the one on the bottom started as well. You may have to wiggle the caliper out a little bit or in to line it up. Now we're going to torque those to 79 foot-pounds. Do the same in the top. Now we're going to put our axle nut on. Snug it up. Now we're going to torque this to 217 foot-pounds. I have a pry bar in between two of my lug nut studs to hold the wheel from spinning as I torque it. Remove everything. Now that we torqued our axle nut, we're going to peen down the nut using a cold chisel or a punch. So you just want to push it in this little groove. Make sure you remember to take off the lug nut before putting your wheel back on. And also make sure you get an alignment at your local shop. Anytime you do suspension work, you want to make sure you get an alignment. Put your wheel on. Start your lug nuts. Put the tapered side in. Turn your wheel so one lug nut is on the bottom, and you're going to walk the rim up. Using a 21 millimeter socket, we're going to torque our lug nuts to 76 foot-pounds. Make sure you line your hubcap up with your valve stem. Once you get it going, you're going to give it a little tap. Now you're going to want to take your vehicle down to your local alignment shop to get it aligned.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.